Yama Shang here, and thank you so much for letting us be a part of your journey. It is great to be back in space with you. I'm really feeling that right now. And we are coming to you with an Outliers Edge roundtable that is going to blow your socks off, or at least challenge your thinking. I think that's it. We're really fortunate today to have none other than Bianca Hellenga to come and join us here on Outliers Edge Live. Bianca, thank you for making the time for this. Thank you for creating the experience of life such that you can show up as an outlier and we can find you. Glad that you're here.
Thank you for being here, for
Yeah.
inviting me here. Thank you.
Yeah. Bianca, we like to make sure that outliers get a chance to get to know you right off the bat. So, would you mind letting us know more about you and the game you're currently playing?
Yes. So my name is Bianca, and what I am standing for, and what I feel called to do is breaking barriers that keep us back in many ways, limitations that are not physical or tangible or seen by the physical eye, but it's in our minds. So there are often a lot of perceptions that we have of ourselves that are very limiting based on um, who we out to be. How do we have to show up in a world that is somewhat dictated by people other than ourselves, but we take it on from a very young age when we're looking up at the people around us or wherever we are grown up, and then we have to show up in a certain way that may often go against the person we feel ourselves to be, but we take it on regardless because that somehow um, would feel like then we are accepted, we belong, and we become successful in that way. And very often than not, that is a roadblock in becoming the successful person that we want to be because it is a story that isn't our own. And so what I do is everything that I do and stand for is working on releasing those limitations and standing into our own authentic truth. And what that may look like hidden beneath all the layers of opinions and expectations of others.
Allies, you can see why I asked Bianca to come be here, right? Kindred spirits here, working on similar missions. And Bianca, what I really appreciate about you is the element of like being able to get underneath the surface. We often say here that most people judge how they're feeling on the inside with how others look on the outside. And what I hear from you is that there's a clear distinction for you where you're like, let's get underneath. Let's see what is like, let's see what is underneath the hood, what most other people wouldn't be able to see. And let's bring that out to the forefront and play with that in or like work through that in a actually your word was release the limitations.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. So like let's come in like why was this important? I get that you could have done anything out in the world, right? So why was this important for you, Bianca, to take on out of all the different ways that you could be serving people and such? Why did you choose this?
I have seen firsthand in my own experience that the expectations of others, particularly that of my mother and my family, was for me to be a certain type of a girl, but somehow it didn't sit right with me because anytime I wanted to express myself authentically, it was shut down. I ended up learning how to deny my own voice and deny my own truth in favor of the story they told. And I have seen how it has um, kind of haunted me in many ways by making decisions with that inner voice still playing out where I didn't know how to say no, where I said yes in favor of being liked, in favor of being loved, in favor of being a good enough girl. Um, and even a good enough parent. Like one of the biggest factors that actually sent me this direction was when my first child was born.
Mm.
This was almost 15 years ago, and I had moved away from my birth country, which is the Netherlands, not long before. Well, that was somewhere in 2009. So my son was born in 2011, and I had not seen my grandmother um, since I had left. Now, when my child was born, she came to visit with my mother, who my mother did come every now and then to visit me. Um, so I hadn't seen her for so many years, and it was obviously it was wonderful to see her. But at the same time, I had kind of like grown away from the family stories, and I wasn't anymore enmeshed with it. Where it was when she had said or had made a comment about how what when I chose to meet my son's needs versus doing something she expected me to do, the
Mm,
first thing that she said was that I was a bad mother, and that really it hurt me. Like, why would she call me a bad mother for choosing to take care of my child instead of coming at the table after cooking dinner? Um, and there was all these like judgments that, and I think
mm,
as a new mother with a first child, we are already very vulnerable in the sense of like, okay, what do we do? Well, what, how do we uh, this is completely new. It's a completely change of identity. All of a sudden you're now a mom too, and you have to take care of a little one, and you're not born completely with the whole script. Like, there's no
yep.
education on it, so you do look at your elders that have been there before you. So if my grandmother that I looked up to said I was a bad mother while I was listening to my own instinct to meet my child's needs, there was a dissonance
Yeah.
in my in my being, in my mind, if you will. So that was one of the things that really got me to deconstruct the entire storyline of my maternal ancestry after they had left, because I was then no longer um, in their space where all that information could continue to affect me in a negative way. When she
Mm,
left back to my home country, I started looking at it from like, why and how. Why do I feel like her words were speaking the truth, but at the
mm.
same time, I also feel very strongly that my choice regarding my child was right too. So what's true here, and what's true about me? Like, who am I in the midst of all of that? So it just started like deconstructing the entire my entire maternal lineage, where the story how that I have that
Can I ask a
they
quick question? When you say
yeah.
deconstructing your entire maternal lineage, like help make that
Mhm.
like what does that actually mean
Four
for the outliers?
generations.
And yeah,
4 generations. Yeah, no, that it's a rabbit hole, if you if you
yeah,
will.
yeah, yeah. No, it's like so what I believe I'm hearing here is that like you had your first child. Um,
Mhm.
you're in a place of vulnerability as it is, right? Your
Mhm.
relationship with your family was one in such a way where you're like, hey, like we're gonna create more space, but we're gonna come back and be like bring the family together with the first child. Then what I was also hearing was that like there were expectations that were put on you at that point of like
Mhm.
and those expectations then were also like expressed that if you didn't meet these expectations you were quote unquote a bad mother, right? and then
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
and then you now then went through the process of saying I'm now going to deconstruct this because there's some part of that like it was hurtful to hear, and there was some part of this where you're like I know the action that took place. Like I'm hearing it even now. You're like I made the right choice for me, you know, and yet
Mhm.
why like what's going on underneath this, and that's what took you down the path of deconstructing your entire maternal lineage and beyond. Let me ask you then,
Yeah.
Bianca, because I think this would be helpful because like your story when I hear it is not dissimilar from a lot of other outliers, right? It might have different ways of looking at it, but a lot of outliers here, they're the first of their generation, first of their entire family to go do something different. They are like the reason we talk about outliers is because they are not norm. They're not the norm. They are normal, but they're
Mhm.
not the norm, nor are they average. And so what ends up happening with that is that they skew from what most people think is the acceptable way of doing things, quote unquote acceptable, the expected way of doing things. So I'm
Mhm.
really curious, Bianca, like of two things. What I want to try and get a sense here is the like how Bianca showed up before she went down this journey of really like of really owning every part of what you are with the I'm trying to use more of your word, like releasing the limitations that were holding you, like that were keeping you and other people's expectations, versus how she shows up now. So maybe you can paint that picture for us here, because I think it'd be important for outliers to get a sense of like, uh, yeah, of what's possible. But like, in order to do that, we have to understand like where were you, and then like how do like what became possible afterwards. And if you can help make that as real as possible, we'll
Mhm.
really appreciate it.
Yeah. So that was the beginning of the path, and as I then started deconstructing, I started working with several modalities to actually listen to my own internal voice and get and trust that more, and that became uh, over time it became stronger and stronger and stronger than any external expectations as what the status quo expected of a woman uh, became more like background noise.
Mhm.
And understandable that there's still so many of us that are still struggling with it, but at the same time, truly trusting that and not letting any of that hold us back, and really stepping into, well, this is what's important for me, and they don't have to agree with that. They can get upset if they want to. They can hold all kinds of stories against me if they wanted to. Not that it happens anymore, but I had gotten a lot. I did get some lashback here and there. But yeah, I just
Yeah,
right
but
now, yeah.
no, I think that last back is important. Like if you don't mind, Bianca, I want to just like without like trying to like dig up old like pain, you know. I do
Well,
want to
yeah.
kind of I do want to like do our best to like make it real, because I think that there's outliers out there that the question I was going to ask you after this was what was the cost of doing this, right? Because like
Mhm.
I you know I for years I've been on my own authenticity journey. Like it's part of the reason why I do this live. I do it live because then I can't record and then edit it and then try and come off a certain way. What you see is what you get. Why? Because if I don't, I'm going to find a way to hide. I'll record it and never release it or whatever it is. Like, no, like this is it. It's here. It's happened. Right. And so the thing that I'm curious about like the cost of this year, because I don't trust people who are like, just be your authentic self. It's like, no. It's we're not wired to do that. We're not trained to do that. You know, that you're talking about like what it was like to grow up in your family like system. You're like we have lineages. This is generations of not doing that, right? So
Mhm.
do you mind letting us know a little bit about like about the cost it took to show up in the way that you show up now?
It cost a life that wasn't mine. Yeah,
Mhm.
everything deconstructed. I had to uh, rebuild my sense of self, but it was also incredibly lonely because you try to talk to people about it, just the general public, and they don't know what you're talking about, and they
Mhm.
think it's not that not that difficult. I mean, they may have not walked the same path, but if you have to rebuild a life that is entirely your own, you have to like drop all of the ideas, everything about who you are not, and that costs you connections with family. It costs you connections with friends. People that you were close to all of a sudden don't show up anymore because it's stuff that they cannot understand. So it's very lonely to try and stand in your authentic self and really be true to what you value from yourself, not that is a value or beliefs that were created by other people for you. So it's really a complete deconstruction that can be incredibly scary
Yeah.
to try to rebuild
Yeah.
something entirely new.
So like there's probably two parts to this. You when you went through this process, like did you go through this alone? Did you have help with it? Like what was your element of it? And for anyone out there that's like, okay, Bianca, I'm hearing you. Like I can do scary things, you know, but I'm glad to know that like it isn't just all sunshine and rainbows around it. But like what was the process that you went through, and what would you recommend to others?
Yeah, I didn't have any therapy or anything like that. I didn't speak to anyone in person. I did seek out similar, like, I tried to actively seek out people that were, you know, cycle breakers too,
Hmm.
online and in forums to not feel so alone. Because I did also find that if I were in like more general groups, people would try to say that there was something wrong with me, and I couldn't really do that. So I sought out online groups to try at least not to feel so alone. I did read a lot of books. I went very inward and connected with more than just the physical reality too.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, it's kind of like surrendering into the entire experience, and then eventually it took me a long time to also realize that I don't necessarily need validation from the people that don't understand, because they only will when they will, if they ever will. So
Yeah. Yeah, there's something that you just said here, Bianca, that like I found myself like it lit up inside me when you said it. You said other cycle breakers. And there is something about that word right there where I was like, oh, like this is her movement. Like this her movement is around like creating cycle breakers, and you understand what that looks like, and you understand like what both the process, like, because what I just heard and what you just said was, one, you had to do it mainly on your own, like you were guiding yourself. You didn't, like, I'm not here like you're like, I don't have therapists, and it seemed like you have like that many like coaches that were working with you or anything like that to help guide you through the process. You were just like, you were doing whatever you could to learn more. It took you a while to get to that like learning and understanding of the validation and some of the things that really seem to have like helped you really become liberated and break those cycles, and to like actually free yourself from the limitations, you know. But there's something in it where I, and you let me know if I'm wrong, but I get that you're here for the people who are ready to break the cycles that have been holding them back, the cycles of expectations, the cycles of their life, the cycles of what of like the dependencies of how things are, and they're ready to break it, and choose something different. Don't let me put words in your mouth, Bianca, but like it just like when you said, I was like, oh, like it just lit up inside of me. What do you make of that?
yeah, you got that right on
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like, and this is so outliers here. Like, let's see this. Like, check in with yourself, like on a couple different levels, right? So one of them is for any of you that are cycle breakers. Like, listen to this. Like, I think Bianca's given a really wonderful experience of like her journey through it. You can go through, document your own. Like, imagine me asking you these questions. What would you say would be your cycle, your process to break the cycle? And if you feel like you're in the middle of this, and you're like, I'm trying to get through this. We have Bianca here who's already gone through, like, literally this is what she does. Her whole movement's about this here, one way, shape, or another. She's here to help you like remove those limitations. Bianca, if there's any outlier that's listening right now that's like, oh, there's a cycle that I'm looking to break, or I've already broken some, but I know that like in it's almost like the first boss. It's like I thought that this was the only cycle, and then once I broke that cycle, I realized that there's more and more and more that I'm still in. Right? For any outlier that's feeling that way, what's the best way for them to reach out and move forward with you?
I mean, you can reach out via my website. Do
What is the
do you?
website? Yeah, let's like
Oh
I
yeah.
always say, like, if some people are listening only, they'll be there in the show notes and everything like that. But like if they're listening and someone's like they like I want to type this in now, like where do they go?
Yeah. So it would be liberate to empower.
Hmm.
Exactly the reason why I'm doing that.com. So
Nice.
liberate to empower.com.
Nice, nice. Go, so outliers, we got this here. Bianca, I want to start wrapping up the conversation, but I want to get into. We heard a little bit about. What I want to get to is like, all right, how are you showing up with this now, right? So let's use the words liberate to empower, right? You've been liberated. You went through this journey. You had to do all this on your own. You know, it's not like you were alone. You know, but like you had to figure this out on your own without really the guidance of others. Now you're helping other people go through it. Tell us here about like more closer to the end state, like what happened as a result of you. How do you now show up in the world, and what are some of the like what are some of the ways that life is showing up for you, your impact is showing up for you, so on and so forth, now that you've like taken on the empowerment of the liberation that you set forth.
Oh yeah, it's been quite interesting. I feel a lot more confident in myself, but mostly is that I trust myself.
Mm,
And I
mm,
think for many that can be hard to truly trust yourself. But yeah, I feel I can trust myself, and every time that I have been making choices that I now know that are truly uh, aligned with me, it's as if the entire physical experience answers. Like I
Mm.
make a choice, and it's, if you ever heard of manifestation,
Yep.
that kind of stuff. Like when I make choices based on who I know myself to be, the physical experience answers, and it's not. I don't have to do a whole lot for it, but just truly stand in my own authentic truth.
I'm really glad that you brought that in here because I feel like it's to me it's one of the things that's like it can't be understated how one how important it is, but also just like how like energizing, I guess it is. Because I'm thinking about some of the things you're saying, and when you're like you're using manifestation, you're talking about like how things are coming to you, and it's like it gets so much easier. You know, like it's just like it's not, and I don't know. I'll be curious from your standpoint here, Bianca. It's like the confidence, the self trust, the self belief, right? The empowerment to go after what it is that you exactly want, and then to find out that like it actually wasn't as far away as what you had thought it would be, and even if it is a lot of work, like you have the means, the power, the wherewithal, and like the self trust to actually withstand it.
Hmm.
And it like I don't know how to describe it, but I'll do my best. And you let me know. You let me know if I'm more on or off from your own experience. But like the way that I experience is that like it allows me to do hard things or things that take up a lot of like energy from a place of flow, and lightness, right? So it's like it's not necessarily easy, but it ends up being simple. It's like I could do this, even
Hmm.
though there's a lot that's being asked of me. Let's talk a little bit more about that, Bianca, and then we'll wrap for today.
Yeah, it's almost like it's a resilience that's built from within, right?
Mm,
Instead of built from fear. Then anything that feels like it might be a lot of work is indeed something that you can flow through, because that resilience is coming from within, and you believe in yourself, and that the outcome is going to happen in whichever way it will show up. Sometimes we have to surrender to the outcome exactly, but it will be in a way that will be supportive, and uh, yeah, being able to work through it. Yeah, walk towards that. Um, and then sometimes things show up too that were completely unexpected, but very much welcome too.
and I love that. Like, because what I hear here is like it's like we can deal with the unexpectedness, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And like in a way that's in alignment with you now that you've gone through this path. Awesome,
Mhm.
awesome. So Bianca, we're going to end here. We're going to end with I'm going to give you three questions to end. We gave actually we'll do two because you already talked about how people can go deeper down the journey with you
Mhm.
when you shared your website. We're going to end it with an outsight and an insight. They're two different things here. All right. So an outsight is a message that comes from you out to any outlier who's listening, to any cycle breaker, anyone who wants to break a cycle, anyone who wants to go and like go down and feel the empowerment that they have here. What takeaway, what message would you have for that person?
Um, that it is okay that it doesn't happen all at once. Be gentle with yourself. Give yourself grace, most of all, because breaking cycles will come with a lot of inner resistance, external resistance, and sometimes that can make things a bit tricky, but you will be able to get through that one step at a time, and definitely don't judge yourself. You are going to be able to do it.
I love it. I love it. And then Bianca, we'll wrap here with the last question I love to ask, which is every time I get people together, anytime I have a conversation at all, the whole purpose of it is to be life changing. I never know how, I never know, like, but I always like to leave the door open for every experience to be a life changing conversation in some way. And so, what I'm going to ask you here is, what's an insight or takeaway that you're leaving with for yourself that you would want to share? And if you're like, I didn't really get any insights, but I had fun, you can say that too. So don't feel pressured on that. But if you wouldn't mind sharing, what's an insight you're taking from this conversation?
There are many more of us cycle breakers than we may give or like may know.
Mhm.
because we are all connecting with it, with each other, remotely, and maybe not so much with those around in our communities as much, but there are so many more of us than we would give credit for. So we're not alone.
No, indeed, we are not. No, indeed, we are not. Outliers, you are not alone, right? Like this is why we come here. We come and we see each other through this space. We grow with each other and we use the things in these conversations to help us go out in the world and create a future that's distinct from our past. I'm really grateful to be a part of this journey with you. Thank you so much, Bianca, for sharing your time, your experience, and your story with all of us here today. Until the next time, we all talk outliers.